Farmers throw everything they can at prolific weeds that threaten their crops. We'll have a closer look, plus more on the Senate passing the Farm Bill. And explain why many in the #2 state for ethanol remain skeptical of EPA policy. And a metropolitan community tries to make peace with livestock operations. I'm Steve White, and it's time to grow. In these uncertain times, the U.S. Senate delivers a farm bill. The Senate needed 60 votes. It got 86. Both Senators Ben Sasse and Deb Fischer voted for it. The next step is to marry this bill with the House version. That could set up a showdown over food stamps. The Senate bill had broad bipartisan support. However, in the House, not a single Democrat voted for it, and several Republicans voted no. The current farm bill expires September 30th. Senator Fischer saying, quote, "As a member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, I'm proud of the bipartisan policies the Senate advanced today, which protect crop insurance, improve critical trade promotion programs, and expand broadband deployment capabilities in rural America." End quote. Senator Ben Sasse singing much the same tune. In his words, Nebraska's farmers and ranchers work hard to feed the world, and the last thing they need from Washington is even more uncertainty, when the threat of a trade war has already made things unpredictable. End quote. And both senators with amendments aimed at helping livestock haulers. Both Fischer and Sasse proposed changes to give more flexibility under hours of service rules that many say are not practical for those carrying livestock. We'll continue to track the issue as the Senate and House versions of the bill must now be conferenced together. Now to the war on weeds, where a recent University of Nebraska field day shows the value of making sure dicamba and other herbicides are sprayed appropriately.
Roundup Ready soybean was planted and it was sprayed with Liberty.
Weed scientists are intentionally making mistakes.
Eventually the plants will die.
Trying to show farmers what happens if they spray the wrong herbicide.
For example, if you have Roundup Ready soybean and if you apply Extendimax, what will happen? It's all going to die.
That's the challenge growers face trying to keep up with pesky weeds like Palmer amaranth.
Hey, what can I spray? You got a shovel? I mean, that's kind of where we're at. There's not too many options once you get past a certain part of the growing season.
Palmer is prolific. A single plant can produce 500,000 seeds, and it grows like crazy.
Right now, Palmer can grow like 1.5 to 2 inch every single day.
Soybean growers do have new options with beans that can be sprayed with dicamba.
Dicamba applied post-emergence in Extend soybean is showing some advantages for controlling broadleaf weeds.
But if that weed killer gets off target, it can wipe out crops it's not designed to work with.
We are suggesting growers to keep in communication with neighbors and also maybe with some other crop consultants so they would know who is applying where.
Nebraska Extension has identified 9 weeds in the state resistant to at least one herbicide, especially the farther south you go.
That's really where it's caused the most havoc, and it's gone progressively farther north.
And while dicamba may be a useful tool, scientists warn farmers it's not the only one, telling them over-reliance on one herbicide will result in weeds that adapt.
Don't rely on only one technology. We don't need to repeat that.
And it looks like many Nebraska growers are using dicamba. That was the subject of last week's poll question. The majority said yes on quite a few acres. Results are not scientific, but gives us an idea of what folks are doing. Skeptics remain after the EPA sets ethanol policy for the year. The EPA standards for 2019 call for conventional corn ethanol to be maintained at the 15 billion gallon target set by Congress, while the advanced and cellulosic biofuel standards would be increased for the year. Nebraska's #2 for ethanol, but some call the announcement meaningless. We spoke with Scott Irwin, professor of agricultural economics at the University of Illinois, who gave us his take on why folks are so skeptical, although the numbers look good.
The top line numbers are indeed consistent with the RFS statute. And that's not surprising to anyone. These were expected to come out the way they did. But the real action has to do with the way that the EPA has been administering and granting what are called small refinery exemptions, and how all that will play into the implementation of the standards that were just released today.
Do you think the EPA is doing enough to support ethanol? That's what we're asking in our weekly poll question. Follow NTV's Grow on Twitter. Let us know what you think. How often do we hear, "Not in my backyard," when someone wants to expand a livestock operation? Hall County is trying to avoid that with a new set of zoning rules approved this week.
We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good stewards of the ground.
In the heart of the beef state, Greg Robb wants to make sure there's still a place for livestock as Grand Island and surrounding areas grow.
You know, as that transition goes, we do need to protect the ag, you know, the farmers, the feedlot guys, everybody, as well as the homeowners and the suburban people that are moving out there.
That's what's behind new zoning rules the Hall County Board has approved.
Give that feedlot that's existing some opportunity to expand.
Livestock operations still have to be set back from homes. That hasn't changed, but they're trying to find ways to be livestock friendly.
How do you balance the urban pressures with the agricultural pressures, and how do you make it possible for producers to expand in a way that they can continue to make money?
One change, creating what they call an impact easement. A homeowner can allow a neighboring feedlot to grow, or the feedlot can allow a home to be built if they put it in writing.
In the past, there was no way to get around that.
A big change is small and medium-sized operations will be allowed without a public hearing.
I mean, you have people show up from 2 counties away protesting, don't even have a dog in the fight. And it caused hard feelings, and we're trying to get away from some of those.
Those operations will be allowed as long as they get a good grade on a scorecard known as a matrix.
If it's managed appropriately, it's not going to be a problem.
Greg Robb says it brings predictability, allowing good operations to grow.
It's very important that we have some clarity to the rules.
He was a star on the football field and now a star in the farm field. The former Husker is honored as our Farm Family of the Month. Stick around for that later. Up next, how to diagnose dicamba injuries in soybeans.